Welcome to Porch Play Chats, sponsored by the American Association for Promoting the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately called IPA-USA. IPA-USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association. You can find more about IPA World at ipaworld.org and about IPA-USA at ipausa.org. As part of our efforts to promote play, we've introduced Porch Play Chats, and these are conversations with people who are just as passionate about play as we are. You can find them on our website at ipausa.org. Up in that top right-hand corner, you can click on the YouTube channel and become a subscriber and join us as a friend on our Facebook page, which is also up there, the link is. And every Monday, magically, a new Porch Play Chat appears in your subscriber list or in your notes or in your notifications. I'm Deb Lawrence and I'm president of IPA-USA, and with me on the porch is Lisa Murphy, one of our board members.
Hello.
And co-facilitator of Porch Play Chats, and Ellen Cogan. Ellen, we're so glad to have you back. Ellen's been involved. Yes, back aboard. Ellen's been involved in early childhood education from her undergraduate days. She's a presenter at conferences. She teaches child development. She consults. She's an advocate for young children and families. She's co-chair of the Westchester branch of NAYC. She provides parenting workshops. She served as an implementation planner to Early Head Start and childcare partnerships, and she helps adults help young children. Her website is www.earlychildhoodinfo.com, and I'll have all her.
Wait. There's no good in it. It's earlychildinfo.com.
You know what? It says on my page, Early Child Info, and I put childhood, so my bad. I have it right.
Just ordinary mistake.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So today, Ellen's going to talk to us about why do you say that toddlers learn science without us teaching them? We don't need to teach them, do we, Ellen?
No, but so many people think we do. Almost every time I get onto one of these early childhood organizational websites or something, or groups, and I talk about infants and toddlers and science, they all hit me with curriculum. And you should teach using
the C word.
You should teach using that. But, many years ago, I learned that curriculum is whatever you do and you learn from. So today I thought I would focus on physical science. There's so much, if you just say science, it could be so many kinds of science and so many things. So today I don't want to include biology or weather or foods or cooking or geology or astronomy, which are all things that little ones are investigating. But today I just thought we would have a short visit with some real world science concepts and toddlers.
Wonderful.
Like what?
We are all ears.
Okay. Well, first I wanted to talk just 1 second about science terms, which are words describing attributes: size, color, shape, texture, weight, sound, position, speed of movement, and comparison words that go to all of them. So those are real science words. And people don't think so. Now, the big thing is that we're not expecting young children to articulate the science concepts. We're just expecting to see them investigate the science. So in their discovery, they find that items have attributes, and they can be described and examined or measured. And one of the first concepts they find is that properties of most items do not change. So by investigating them over and over and over again, they see that a spoon is a spoon. If I drop it and somebody picks it up and gives it to me, it's still a spoon. It didn't become a fork. It's a spoon. if I drop it and pick it up, it's still a spoon. And the same noisy toy makes the same noise in the morning and in the night and all day long. No matter how crazy it drives my grown-ups, I can squeak it all the time and it still makes the same squeak.
Which is probably why they continue doing it, right? They're not doing it to make it crazy. They're doing it to see if the rules have changed, right? Oh, the rule is still applied here.
Because they don't know this. They have to discover it. The pictures in the same book will always be in the same order. So this is something people don't generally think about because adults just know it. They have no idea when they learned it. They just know it. You open a book and you see the pictures, you turn it and you turn it and you turn it, and then at the end it's done. But children have to figure this out. They have to look at the same book 9,000 times, maybe a bazillion, until they get it.
Which is why they want you to read the same book, right? And to your point, how come they want me to read Brown Bear every night? Because they're trying to figure out. Again, to your point, they can't articulate that they're looking to figure it out. That's not where they are, but they're learning that it's predictable and that it's the same, and that my mood or the time of day is not changing the constancy of this.
And Ellen,
if I turn the page, will now it be a cow?
Yeah.
No, it will still be Brown Bear.
What I love about how you're phrasing this is that these are the foundational things that they have to explore and be curious about, and then recognize that they stay the same. The book pages are the same. And, any toddler that you read the Brown Bear, or the Very Hungry Bear and the Little Red and the Mouse and the Red
The Little Mouse, the Red Ripe Strawberry, and the Big Hungry Bear.
Yeah, that one, which I read every night for months and years. Vanessa could tell me if I skipped a page because I was tired.
Oh, sure.
No?
Oh, always.
Right? No, she would say when she was like 18 months, nope. And I'd go back. Those are the foundational things that they build everything else on. We have to give them those nuggets, those introduction to these foundational things. And so we don't have to teach them science. We just need to let them play and explore and be curious.
This is one of the reasons, which I didn't put in my notes, but it is one of the reasons that it is so criminal to teach children things before they're ready, because they need the years before school to learn all these foundational principles of science and of life. And when you take that time away from them and you push things down, you're taking away this learning by which they get the inner foundations of the main core concepts. The same action can yield the same or different results. If you drop the same item, you can drop it on the same surface and the same thing will happen. But if you drop it on a different surface, something else can happen. If I drop this toy on the carpet 100 times, it'll be one thing. But if I drop it on the tile floor, it might break.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thunk? Because I dropped it on the carpet all these times. What do you mean it broke?
And what about the one time you dropped the spoon off the side of the high chair and Mama says, I'm not picking that up again today.
We're done.
Like, that's it.
Well, then they learn gravity because it stays there.
Right? That's gravity. Good job. Yeah, that's true.
And so it's all of these foundational skills and knowledge that they then build off, because that's their prior knowledge, right? So when I get into the 4-year-old room and we're doing sink and float, I've probably already had experiences in the water table of things
or in my bath.
the sink. but I may not have known it was the word sink and float, right? So
Exactly.
I'm just adding, is that Piagetian stuff. I'm adding to my prior knowledge. But if you take away my ability to figure all these things out because you're teaching it to me, then I'm not able to have this foundational set of prior knowledge that I can then make future connections with. And that's where I think we go wrong in early childhood.
It's like trying to build a house when the foundation isn't there. And I think you've said that enough times, Lisa.
Yeah.
It's true. And one, it's implying, and this is why I don't like to get overly caught up in the verbiage of teacher and what we call ourselves, but I do believe that the word teacher brings up images of one person imparting all of this data into another. And when we align ourselves with thinking that that's our job, so we think we're supposed to be filling something up with what we know. If we're overly focused on what we think we should be filling them up with, we're not paying attention to what they're discovering and uncovering and investigating and learning on their own. And if we allowed ourselves to pay attention to that, then we could be adding to that, right? It's not minimizing my role as the adult in the room, but allowing ourselves to see, are we noticing? Like I love the question. It's not even a question. It's more of a statement. Have you noticed that they've noticed? What are you noticing that they've noticed? Especially when it comes to talking with young children about science. What are you noticing? And the story I've been telling a lot lately is she was three, 4, and we were outside painting at the easel. And she looked to her left and she noticed that her shadow was on the ground. And I noticed that she noticed, right? I didn't need to turn this into a lesson, but I noticed that she noticed. She kept painting, no big deal. She didn't make any comment. Went outside that afternoon, the easel had not moved. She wanted to paint another picture, which she did. And she looked to her left and I could see that she was like, wait. And so she like looked behind her and it was over here and she stopped painting. And all she said was, Miss Lisa, I moved, but I didn't move. That's science. Right?
Absolutely.
Isn't that the most, that's mind blown. That's a big thought for a 3-year-old. And we don't need to fold and spindle and mutilate it and turn it into anything more than what it already was.
Right. So some of the other concepts they're learning when they're toddlers, the big one is object permanence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they're always playing peekaboo.
Yeah.
And you can go into, now that there are groups of people again, and you can see some children, and just random strangers sometimes they'll see a child looking at them and they'll go like this and they'll go like this and the kid will laugh. Mm-hmm. Because they're starting to get it. Mm-hmm. But other parts of object permanence are, when I wake up, will my room still be there? Mm-hmm. When I go to childcare, will I come home and will my family still be there? Mm-hmm. And who will pick me up? When I ran a nursery school, and every now and then some kid would be very happy and then all of a sudden start crying out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And that was the time to say, who is picking you up today? Mm-hmm. And then they can say, my mommy or my babysitter or my this one or my that one. Yes, after we do this and after we do that, then it will be time for so-and-so to pick you up. And that stops the crying because
it's like it grounds. It's a grounding.
It's a grounding. And so people get very upset about separation anxiety and all that. Yes, it's separation anxiety, but a lot of the kids who really have a hard time with separation anxiety, either have family situations that change a lot and they have no idea what's going to happen, or they haven't had enough time to really learn object permanence.
Ellen, I have to tell a story about, we were doing an infant toddler course, right, with early childhood educators. And we use the West Ed curriculum out of California. And so, they do the discoveries of infancy and toddlerhood, which is object permanence, use of tools, understanding where you are in space, learning schemes, and there's another one, cause and effect. And it was so interesting. We were able to go into a program that allowed us to videotape infants, and they had releases. And so we videotaped infants for 30 minutes just playing. It was a wonderful child development program. Babies were playing all the time. And so they were on the floor playing. So we played that video and we asked them to describe what children were doing in this 15 or 20 minutes, I think we showed of the video. Then we showed them the discoveries video and talked about each of the discoveries, right? The imitation, object permanence, cause and effect, use of tools, understanding space, learning schemes. And then we asked them to watch the movie again. And they were like, oh my God. And I said, yes, because when you know what you're looking for,
you can see it.
You can see it, right? And, because they would say, oh, I get so bored in an infant room, nothing really happens. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You're not looking for the right things, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. And so these understanding that those science concepts that you're talking about happen through play, and that they are building that foundation is so important for us to be able to take a deep breath and say, when I allow them to play, they are internally driven to do what it is that they're ready for, right? And we just have to observe it and facilitate it, but not interfere with it.
And I'm going to put some props to that. That, like, in a 60-minute session, maybe 90 minutes of what you're talking about with those students that were watching that, you effectively created a landscape where you could go from, well, they're just babies. And like you laid the foundation for them to go from they're not doing anything to, I mean, that's the difference between, I think, a good quote unquote infant person and somebody who maybe needs to be with a different age group. And I'm resisting I know we're wanting to talk about the science. We can't talk about this age group without acknowledging the importance of the attachment piece, right? And the attachment theory, and just how important it is for those bonds to be created, because all of this other stuff is bonus, right? If that's not happening, if the attachment piece isn't there, then, the others, we're just spinning our wheels up here.
And if they are in a large group, because you have to teach them circle stuff with flashcards, then that relationship is being damaged because they don't want to be there, right? And where
can the baby go? I mean, the 4-year-old can get up at a circle time and be like, this is a bunch of bullshit, and I'm out here, and walk around the room or go to the bathroom or something. Where's the baby going to roll away? I mean, and if the baby's in the car seat while you're doing that, good Lord, there's absolutely no agency. The most experienced people on the staff need to be in the infant room. And I have said that for years. We need people who see that, or who are able to learn what they should be seeing there, to go from like, what are they doing? They're just babies, to like, look at everything and you're like, oh, I had no idea. And
well, just before this, my daughter called me. She had her grandson who was sitting in a high chair with a spoon that had hummus on it so that it didn't easily fall off. So he stuck it in his mouth in the other end. And she said, it goes the other way. I said, hush. I was not going to let her, and so he turned it around and he tried to eat it in the middle. And then he found the spoon end and he had something in his mouth. Ooh. And then he didn't eat the whole amount on the spoon, but he picked it up and turned it over again. And she started to say something, and I said, "Stop."
No, bite your tongue, quick.
I said, if he's hungry, he will eat it. And if he's not hungry, he will play with it. Get out of his face.
Right? Go do something else.
And I want to go back to the whole thing that you've been talking about is if, you know, and I did this as a Nana, and I had to like spank my hands sometimes because, you know, you want to help them, right? You want to
help them.
You want to give them those stupid little boppy things that go around their waist that's supposed to strengthen their back muscles when it's really harming their back muscles, right? And you want to give them these toys to play with and these stupid exercisers that are restricting their movement, right? So but it's like we've been programmed that we have to show them, yeah, and we have to show them the new toy. We need to show them how it works instead of leaving them alone and giving them the joy of that discovery and exploration and figuring it out on their own. And so sometimes I see infant and toddler teachers feeling pressured to show them. And I want them to just go, really, what you may be thinking you're helping, but what you're really doing is hindering that play cycle, right? And that exploration and curiosity and discovery and the joy that comes from figuring it out on their own instead of having someone show them. And so, you know, if I could tell infant and toddler teachers anything, it's leave them alone.
Which, hold on, I have to add something. Yes. Leaving them alone and still be paying attention.
Yes.
Different than leaving them alone and texting your boyfriend, you know, oh, they're just babies, they're fine, right? No, you're still engaged. It's still that facilitate model, right? A guide on the side, not the sage on the stage.
And the other thing you absolutely have to do is articulate these concepts to the other grown-ups.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh my goodness.
I made a one-page sheet, which you probably can't see. Anyway.
You can put it in the notes.
Yeah, you can send it to me, Ellen, and I'll stick it in the YouTube thing.
And it's got some of these concepts. A couple of others very quickly that we didn't talk about are items can be moved in different ways. They can be pushed and pulled and dragged and thrown and bounced and rolled.
All those verbs.
Some things have outsides and insides, but some don't. Some are solid. Some things are dry, others are wet. Wet things can dry. Paint can get on things when it's wet, but when it's dry, you can touch it and it doesn't come off on your fingers. We take all this stuff for granted. We can see more in more light. Sometimes we see shadows, as you were talking about. Who do we see in a mirror?
And that's always a fun one, right? When you put the little bit of red lipstick on their nose and it's the first time they look in the mirror, like.
Or do they see the hand going this way or that way? And then, you know, maybe a different time we can talk about the body kinds of science.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have the cutest picture of two infants, older infants. They're sitting there and they're looking at each other, and one is putting the finger in the other one's mouth.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And then, you know, is my finger going to hurt if you bite it or if I bite it? You know, but things can go out and in.
Mm-hmm.
You can put things in bins or drawers, or, you know, if you take them out and you dump them, can they go back in? Will they go back in? Especially toddlers. They are the world's best dumpers.
Dump and fill, man.
Dumper fillers ever.
Best. Every time I go to the grocery store, I feel like a toddler because I put it in my cart, then I take it out of the cart, and then I put it back in the cart, and then I put it in the car, and take it out of the car, and then bring it in the house, and then take it out and have to put it away. And it's like, I'm like 2.
Yeah, and you've learned that skill when you were young, and you're using it as an adult.
And
well you're using it.
I know. It's still like I don't use the calculus, but I use that dump and fill at least twice a week.
This is why Piaget may have had some of the levels, okay, but we don't grow out of them.
No.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Two-year-olds are great at parallel play. What does that mean? It means two-year-olds are playing with the same type of stuff next to each other.
No interaction.
Then they tell you you grow out of this. Yeah. Did you ever see 2 adults in a room reading different sections of the same newspaper? Is that not parallel play?
Everybody sitting at the hotel bar.
Uh-huh.
Parallel play until there's a shift in the relationship, and then maybe you've got people now working together, associative play, right? Or whatever's
yes, associative play. Yeah. And so when I'm teaching play courses, right, and we talk about the different kinds of play, I say you still do solitary play. You still do parallel play.
Yeah.
You still do associative play with one other person. You still do cooperative play with a group. And so it's not like you grow out of it. You're constantly reusing all that knowledge that you've gained, but you have to have the foundation first. Ellen, this has been wonderful. You have some closing thoughts that you want to give us before we close out?
Well, I think if you're going to, it's very hard for adults to keep their mouths shut when they see children doing things. So my advice tends to be afterwards. You can say, you used the green car today, or you pushed 2 trucks. Which one do you think moved faster? So that you use comparison words, you use the real terms, but you don't teach it to them. You don't say, when you push the truck along, you are investigating how fast it's going.
They are just toddlers and infants.
But if adults sometimes review the science concepts that the children are learning, A, they will have more respect for the children. B, they will have more respect for the knowledge. C, they will go, oh, they're really doing something. Okay.
And I shouldn't be interfering. I should be present and responsive and in tune. But I also need to give them freedom to explore and be curious and to discover things on their own. And I think that is the foundational principles of every infant and toddler teacher. Be responsive, be nurturing, be supportive, and observe.
And share with the other adults in their life.
That's true. You've said that now twice, and I'm really letting that
share with the other adults. They can have more of appreciation of what their baby is doing or their little one is doing, and for what you're doing. And the more concepts you teach them that the children are learning, the less likely they're going to go along with other people in other situations who say, yeah, all they do is play.
Right.
The empowerment, right? You start to teach them in the infant room. You start to teach those parents, this is what's happening. This is like, I'm going to call what I see. I'm going to start linking it to some of those concepts for you. Plop in some of those wolf words, learning words that you might need to see that what we do is valuable. And then it's a long-term investment. But then that parent, when they do see that something's missing, right? How come we don't go outside? How come there's no recess here? Only a parent that has been taught to see that all the domains are important and of equal weight, that's the parent that's going to be like, whoa, time out. What do you mean? No, there's no recess here.
Yes,
But
exactly.
they're not gonna be able to speak from that spot if nobody has shared with them what they know.
That's
Right.
why in all my workshops, it's not just who comes to hear the workshop.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
who they're going to teach
Who they're gonna go talk to after they leave on Monday. Yeah.
and what they're going to tell them about.
And
Yeah.
what they're going to do with that information, right? It's not just listening to it, it's how you're going to apply it. And so it's these little tools that we can give early childhood professionals that help them help themselves and get parents to understand the importance of that investigation piece and inquiry and curiosity that children are experiencing. And Debbie Mays did a wonderful session on learning stories. If that was the name of it, right, Lisa? Learning stories,
Yeah.
which is where she did exactly this and tied it to the standards for that family and to her state assessment system that she's required to report to. And it was beautiful how she just talked about a scenario, a story on every child. And she did one a week, I think, on each child. And then she was able to take that story that she sent home to parents and she was able to tie it to the state standards and then report it into their assessment system. And it was all about play and playful interactions with children.
And that, I'm gonna plug this again. You can't reflect on your practice till you have identified your values. So once you've identified your values, which Deb has, once you've identified that, then I'm going to make sure that my practice is aligned with that. So to one of the quotes that Rusty says in his new book, Rusty Keeler, he says, sometimes people think, oh, it's extra work. And Rusty, God love him, he says, it's not extra work. It is the work. It is
exactly.
It is the work. It's not extra. So yeah, you might be putting in some extra time, but it's allowing you now to stay true to your value system. So why would you not put it in?
Absolutely.
Why is it so hard? Yes. So, okay. So Ellen, stay right there. Will I close this out?
Opportunity.
Ellen,
Always a pleasure, Ellen.
We so enjoy you, but stay right there while I close this out. For more information about IPA-USA, please visit our website at IPAUSA.org. And until next time, keep on playing.